What should you look out for when choosing an expat financial advisor or wealth management firm? That's going to be the topic of today's video. Okay everyone, if you're an expat or a high net wealth individual in particular, go over to adamfire.com and see how I can help you. Now on this video, I'm going to talk about expat financial advisors. One of my clients a few days ago asked me a great question. He said, well, if you weren't doing what you're doing, how would you recommend one of your family members, for example, or a good friend should find an expat financial advisor? And that's a great question because obviously I can't, pretend that I'm completely unbiased about this, doing what I do. But what I would say is this: look for the following things. Number one, someone who can keep things simple. So I think it was Einstein who said, if you can't explain something to a 5-year-old, you probably don't understand it well enough. And too many people come out with jargon and so on, not just in finance, in all industries. So somebody who can keep things nice and simple is really important. Number two, transparency, especially in the digital age, is really important that you know what you're getting yourself into, and so on and so forth. Three is someone who is specialized and has actually done what you want them to do with previous people in the past. So many advisors are just focused on one market. That could be Singapore, Switzerland, or whatever market it is, and that's fair enough. But let's say if you're, I don't know, an expat in Ghana or Tunisia or Bolivia, you don't really want to deal with somebody who isn't globally focused. And ideally, actually, you want to focus on someone who's globally focused, because as an expat, you're going to move from country to country. So I was one of the first people in my industry to go completely remote because I recognized this truth, that ultimately, if you've got someone just focusing on one market, it's then not very easy to kind of start dealing with them remotely. Whereas I've been completely remote for years now because I recognized there was a problem with my approach when I first got into the industry, which is why I changed. And also, I would say thought leadership. Ideally, you want to deal with somebody who's an expert in their niche and is giving out good content to people free of charge so they can actually find out what you're actually thinking and their take on the world and so on and so forth. And of course, somebody who is actually competent in their niche is going to stay long-term, and you're going to have a long-term relationship with them. All these things sound really simple, but ultimately that gets me back to my first point, and that's that often the best plans are actually simplest. Sometimes complexity is actually your enemy.